So, how do you actually find a champion? Is it just some kind of raw natural talent? A lucky break? Or is it a science? Well, today we're diving into the incredible science of talent identification and how it's helping us find these extraordinary athletes in places we might have never thought to look. Let's get into it. Now, Jean-Paul Sartre probably wasn't thinking about sports when he said this, right? But this quote, it's really the soul of modern talent identification. It's all about having the courage to look beyond the obvious, to search for human potential in totally new ways.
And look, this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. This kind of courage, this new way of looking, it has powerful, real-world consequences. To really see what this looks like in action, we have to talk about a legend.
Meet Siamand Rahman, often called the Smiling Hercules. Born with a congenital leg impairment, he could have been defined by his limits, but he wasn't. Instead, he channeled his incredible energy into powerlifting, becoming one of the most dominant Paralympic athletes in history.
I mean, his rise was just meteoric. Just look at this timeline. He starts competing professionally at 17, and by 20, he's on the national team. And from there, it's back-to-back Paralympic gold medals, an absolute force of nature.
And here it is, the number that cemented his legend. At the Rio Paralympics, he didn't just win gold, he shattered the world record. He lifted 310 kilograms. To give you some perspective on that, the International Paralympic Committee said it was like lifting 2 baby elephants. Just an incredible talent, found and nurtured.
Siamand's story is just awe-inspiring, but it also makes you ask a really crucial question. How do we go from finding one legend, maybe by chance, to systematically uncovering potential like his all over the world? Well, that's where the science comes in. This is the multi-million-dollar question in sports science, isn't it? Is there some secret formula, a universal checklist you can use to find the next superstar?
Well, the research is crystal clear on one thing. A generic formula is totally useless. Every single sport demands its own unique blend of physical, physiological, and psychological traits. A one-size-fits-all checklist? That'd be like trying to use a map of New York to find your way around Tokyo. You're just not going to find what you're looking for. Now, this is what's really fascinating. This chart breaks down the talent recipe for just one sport, swimming. As you'd expect, motor capacity, things like endurance and power, that's a huge piece of the pie, about 50%. But look at psychological capacity, tactical thinking, focus. That makes up a massive 35%. It just proves that being a champion swimmer is as much about what's going on in your head as it is about the length of your arms.
And this brings us to a really critical idea. The blueprint for talent changes, and it changes dramatically, depending on what the sport demands. To really see this in action, let's compare two wildly different sports. So first up on this slide, we've got the profile for an elite wrestler. Scouts are looking for a very specific body type, wide shoulders, low body fat. Physically, it's all about explosive power, about that hand grip strength. And psychologically, it's like a high-stakes chess match that demands incredible tactical smarts and almost unbreakable stress control. Okay, now let's completely flip the script and look at a marathon runner. The ideal body type is the polar opposite, lean, light, a high height-to-weight ratio. The key physical traits have nothing to do with power. It's all about aerobic endurance and managing that lactate threshold. And the mental game? It's not tactical. It's pure mental toughness and motivation. The takeaway here is huge. There's no single thing called athleticism. There are only specific blueprints for very specific challenges. But tailoring the search to the sport, that's really only half the battle. The truly groundbreaking work happening in Talent ID today is about adapting the science for the athlete, especially for athletes in special communities. And this means creating these highly specialized approaches for 3 broad categories of athletes. You have those with physical disabilities, sensory disabilities, or intellectual disabilities. The goal is always to identify their unique strengths and then build a stage where those strengths can absolutely shine. For athletes with physical disabilities, you have to completely change how you look for talent. In sports like wheelchair fencing or seated volleyball, you're not looking for leg speed. You're looking for explosive upper body power, incredible core stability, and just this seamless, masterful control of their equipment. The athlete and their gear, they become one. And then for athletes with sensory disabilities, the adaptations are just as innovative. This is blind football. It's an incredibly fast-paced, competitive game where players are blindfolded and track the game using a ball that has a bell inside. In this sport, hearing becomes the dominant sense. And what's just amazing is when you actually break down the data, when you analyze what makes an elite blind football player, tactical skill, things like spatial awareness and anticipation, is actually weighted as more important than raw physical ability. It's a game of the mind, played with your ears. We see a similar, incredible adaptation in judo for the visually impaired. Here, the athletes start and maintain constant physical contact. So the primary sense for competition isn't sight, it's touch. An athlete's ability to feel and anticipate every single subtle shift in their opponent's balance, that becomes their greatest weapon. And for athletes with intellectual disabilities, the approach shifts one more time. Here, identifying talent is less about hitting peak performance numbers and much more about creating structured, positive, and really encouraging environments. The focus is on clear, repeatable instruction that builds not just athletic skills, but also self-confidence and crucial social skills. So when we put all these pieces together, what does it really tell us about the search for a champion? Well, it reveals that talent isn't some narrow beam of light. It's this vast, brilliant spectrum of possibilities. So what's the big takeaway here? Real talent identification isn't about searching for some flawless, perfect athlete. It's the science of seeing potential by looking through a lens that's custom-built for both the sport and the unique profile of the person. It's about seeing what is possible, not what's missing. Which leaves us with this final thought. We created new ways of looking, and we found legends like Simon Rahman. We've designed entire sports where touch and hearing can become the senses of a champion. It just makes you wonder, how many other future legends are out there just waiting for us to finally adjust our focus and learn how to truly see them?